Human connections is the study on how we human beings relate to ourselves, how we relate to others, and how we relate to the world around us and the worlds we create out there. There is something in our biology that allows us to connect to the world and to each other in very particular ways through our senses and through our minds. This is Andreas Roepstorff, Director and Professor of the Interacting Minds Center at Aarhus University.
Part of our work is looking into the biological basis of human connectivity. And what that line of research is increasingly developing or discovering is that it's kind of in our biology to be able to relate to each other. Your pain can be felt as my pain. Your ideas can become my ideas, and suddenly I can act on the world in them. And in a similar way, the physical world out there is not just a physical world on itself, it's also a world that I relate to when I act on it. So in a sense, our connecting to the world is not just social, it's deeply biological.
Andreas and his team have done a lot of experiments of people working together and looked at how they physically sync up. And what they found is that when people, for instance, are building something together, their bodies tend to start coordinating and their heart rhythms synchronize.
But lo and behold, if it's a matter of solving a complex task, then you don't want to be too much in sync with the other. You want to be in different spaces out there, and your bodies should be in different spaces out there. So there is a really interesting tension between, on one hand, being in sync, and on the other hand, being in a different place, but in such a way that you can do something with that difference.
What the team also see is that if they bring people back into the lab, put them into the scanner, and let them see images of the things that they built, it turns out that the more they felt connected to the other person when they built it, the more particular areas of the brain light up again when they see the objects afterwards.
And those areas seems to be involved in emotions and in memories. So in other words, when we do something together, that togetherness stay out in the world. And once we see the world again, the world isn't there just on its own, but our traces of what we did with it is involved in it. And that might explain why the world is actually such an emotional place to be in, and why shared histories matter.
So why is this important, you might ask yourself? It's important because we humans now live in a time of technology where new possibilities, rules and logics determine the way we interact with each other and the world around us, and where the unintended consequences of our actions are larger than ever.
And it's our deep conviction that part of being able to live in such a world together is to figure out ways in which we can relate together and can be with each other, that deals with conflicts in a way that can at the end of the day be collaborative, and to let those differences that luckily exist in the world become productive and help us to figure out how are we to live together in a world that is ultimately and strangely shared.
Stay curious.